Hello and welcome everyone. This is a LinkedIn live event, Customer Experience Reinvented, Scaling with Amazon Connect. This session is hosted by Pronix Inc. and Pronix help organizations accelerate digital transformation through innovative solutions that bridge technology and customer experience. We're excited as this is our very first collaboration with Amazon Web Services, and it will allow us to deliver scalable AI-driven solutions that improve customer satisfaction, reduce costs, and create seamless experiences at scale. My name is Nick. I'm here on behalf of Pronix. I will be the host of today's session. This session will be fully dedicated to Amazon Connect, and we'll have a lot of information to discuss about it. Please make sure you have the chat and the comment section open. If you're on desktop, it's on your right. If on mobile, scroll down. We want to make sure the session is interactive. We can cover your questions along with what the questions we'll be discussing today. For now, to make sure the chat works, please let us know where you're watching us from, as I'm sure we'll have people from many different countries all over the world watching us. And about the session itself, in today's fast-evolving digital-first world, organizations face increasing customer expectation, and Amazon Connect is a cloud-native contact center solution is helping businesses reinvent their customer service strategy. In the session that we're having today, we'll explore how businesses can scale, personalize, and optimize customer interaction using the power of Amazon Connect. It has AI-powered automation, advanced analytics, and integration capabilities. So without any further ado, let me introduce our today's panelists with different perspectives on today's topic. So our first panelist today is Herbert, probably a go-to person to talk to about Amazon Connect. Herbert, please give us a few words about your background.
Sure, Nick. How you doing? My name is Herbert Guerrero, and I am a senior ProServe consultant for Amazon Connect. I've been in AWS for around 7 years, and I've participated in more than 40 plus projects. I either participated or led help customers migrate from legacy platforms into hundreds to thousands of agents in a multi-phase approach. I'm located in Miami, Florida, and I'm looking forward to our session.
Awesome, thank you. And we have another person here from AWS, Corey. Please give us a couple of words about yourself. And you muted. Please unmute yourself first.
Hi, my name is Corey Miller. I'm a senior ProServe cloud architect. I've been with AWS now almost 4 years. I don't have the background that you're going to see most of my colleagues here and most of the folks at our Amazon Connect partner network member Pronix do. I don't come from a dedicated contact center background. I spent 28 years in the U.S. Air Force before I joined AWS. I was a military police officer, and I was at one point a 911 agent. I was behind a desk. I had multiple computer screens. I come from that agent background experience. Connect speaks to me in that sense. And also, I was hired as a project manager from AWS and engagement management. I transitioned into nothing but Connect specific as a cloud architect last year when I just fell in love with the service. I fell in love with the capabilities it provides and the transformational opportunities that customers have. So my focus here today is I dabble a little bit in the technical side where Herbert is, but my focus is really working with customers on building the strategy, what the transformational event needs to be, the change management, and looking beyond just the finish line. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Corey. Yeah, it sounds like your background brings a valuable perspective. And one last but not the least, we have our expert in artificial intelligence and machine learning, Pankaj. Please give us a couple of words about yourself.
Yeah, thanks, Rick. Again, I'm not an expert on AWS Connect like Corey or Herb, but I do bring a ton of experience. I spent the last 25 years in IT transformation, many of them doing contact center automation for large banks, insurance companies, both in US and Canada. Currently, I am based out of Toronto. I work for a large clinical research organization, and my role is implementing anything about AI and ML, working with chatbots and stuff like that. My inputs here and my interest to join this discussion is more from the consumer side of this tool, understanding how we can implement what would be the benefits, RFP, ROIs of that, and cost benefit analysis. So I'll participate or mostly ask questions around as a end consumer. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Pankaj. As everyone can see, we are having a very interesting conversation and discussion ahead of us. And I want to kick it off by asking all three of you to summarize very shortly, how would you describe what exactly is Amazon Connect? So Herbert, let's start with you.
Yeah, let me give it a shot. It's an omni-channel, right? Cloud contact center service that allows businesses create a support environment to provide a customer experience, an optimal customer experience across the board for several business units, depending on the use cases, depending on the requirements. It now uses a great deal of machine learning and artificial intelligence to provide a scalable platform to reduce cost, to provide a first call resolution, impact, and any of the contact interactions from the customers or callers who want to get some support.
Okay, and Corey, what would you add to this?
Yeah, well said. Thanks, Herbert. I'm going to go a little level higher in terms of how I look at it holistically. And what I talk to with my customers, it's pure product ownership in a transformational sense. You are going to become a product owner, and that's something to be taken very seriously when it comes to how you want to run your business. Some organizations, some providers are more or less providing the entire service, right? Not as much management, but not as much flexibility. Amazon Connect is providing you the opportunity to really dream big about what you want your entire contact center to be. And I use the word transformational not lightly. You're going to change the way your agents work. You're going to change the way your agents are assisted. You're going to change the way your customers experience, the way that your technology is managed and serviced. It's going to change everything that you do. So for me, that's what I wrap around when I talk about Amazon Connect.
Oh yeah, thanks. Sounds like a transformation in its pure form. So Pankaj, what would I would frame the question, what are your expectations, like in a very short sentences from this service?
Okay, like my title says, Director AI ML, that's where I start and end my response to that. So I'm looking for the AWS services like Amazon Lex, which I can integrate for chatbots for my organization, Amazon Poly, which is text to speech, which will allow us for intelligent routing or automated responses and enhanced customer service. I've worked with other tools. I won't name the organizations here, but these were the chatbots which were integrated with the tools like SAP Fieldglass, ServiceNow, and my interest here is to see how AWS can help me implement that for the organization. So any learnings that I can take from here, that would be excellent.
Sure.
Thank
One of
you.
the
Awesome.
things that I looked at when implementing a chatbot is the reduction of agent load, right? These repeatable tasks, these repeatable transactions can be easily serviced through a chatbot. Chatbot can have in the background integration with different functions and a service called Amazon Bedrock, what uses models with machine learning that generates a more human-like message to those customers. So now the key is to be able to not redirect, but also provide very fast, short response time to our customers with these key responses. Something that, when integrated with backend systems, will provide or generate information to the customers that allows the agent to focus on more high-value tasks or critical tasks. So that's one of the things that we measure on chat sessions. What do you think, Corey?
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And then when you talk to when we talk to our customers, and then I share this a lot with them, is you also need to know where is that point of where the AI touch and that human touch needs to either be replaced or augmented. There are certain sectors of business where human touch is valuable, that you may not want to put an AI agent in there. So when I do talk with customers and they say, yeah, we want to automate this, we'd love to put an agent right here to have people just find out where their order is. Well, depending on what that is for the order they're looking for, may not be the right space to put an agent. Maybe the agent's better off to collect the information so that your backend human agent has a full 360 profile of the person talking to them. That's the other piece about AI ML that I'm sure Pankaj can talk through as well, is that knowing the difference between where the AI touch should go and where the human touch needs to remain.
Yeah, I totally agree with you both. And I'll give you an example of my past history. So I was working for a very large organization implementing automation, and back then it was RPA. And the word kept coming, we are going to reduce FTE. FTE is your full-time employees.
Yep.
That was 9 years back. Today, when I look back at it, look at myself as a fool who was letting go people who had 25, 30 years of experience. Today, when I talk to the same people, I go and say that these people are excellent resources for you. They just don't have the tools to provide that service to your company. So they take 30 minutes to finish your call. So the same AI tool which can get you, and Corey, I'm just following up on your lead,
Yeah.
that can provide to your person all the documentation, all the data from different websites, and there are a ton of things that in an organization people have access to. Provide that on a short chatbot, and now the same Pankaj who was sitting there for 30 minutes waiting for the data can get the data in 2 minutes, and now 28 minutes are left. You're not letting go that the person now. There could be an upsell, there could be a customer satisfaction, and there is
Yes.
both the the tools which give you immediate access to your customers world, or you give them a customer satisfaction and then say, yeah, I like working with RBC Bank, or I like working with Bank of America, because whenever I call, they give me answer in few minutes. And that
Transaction.
goes a long way. That's transaction, the average handling time. So I won't use all the
Absolutely.
technical terms, I'll make it more simple, but that is your average handling time. And why it is long, I can find that information for Pankaj. Now
Yeah.
Pankaj called, and as soon as he calls, I put some data points in there, or he comes through voice to text, and all his data is already populated. Why he could be calling? What is his concern? What his concerns were? Where does his data lie in our organization? And that is AI and ML for you, and it learns as it goes. You need tools like Amazon or other people organization to do that. So use case is what you are looking for. Data and everything will come after. So find the use case and use it for
Yes.
benefit.
True.
Okay, yeah, thank you. So let's kick off with talking about the use cases. So yeah, so if we're talking about businesses and they want to reinvent their customer service strategy, how would they use Amazon Connect for that?
Okay, so I'll let me kick off with that one, and then we can dive a little deeper into the technical side. So when I do talk with a customer, I sit down with them, and they come up with that same thing of, I want to transform the customer experience. My first question back to them is, have you mapped what your customer experience is today? Do you know what doesn't work? Do you have data points that back this up? I wouldn't ever advise them to go in with a feeling, right? You want to know, and there's plenty of data points they can pull. So I always talk about mapping the experience across both the agent and the customer so that they can find out where those pain points are that they want to improve upon, where they can find out what they're doing right as well. There's a number of books on customer mapping. There's plenty of them out there. I subscribe to a few. One of the maps that I like to use is to come in with the emotional impact of a customer and why they're contacting you in the first place. And we'll just use the standard, where's my order? If someone comes in with 0 being an equal emotional state, if they're calling you and finding out where their order is, chances are they're not happy about it, right? They're coming in from a negative state. Well, what we need to do is not only map that out from where the customer's at, how we can then impact them as early in the customer journey as possible to turn that emotion up, but also let the agent know this person's coming in with a possible negative reason for being here. You need to have as much information as possible, because if it gets to you and it's complex, here's what you need to bring this up. And I talked this through with the customer, and then I went and talked with their agents, and the agents were like, here, if you can do anything for us, we would love to have more information from our systems in the back end. So we have a 360 profile of that customer coming in. That's what we'd love to see. So I always start off with, have you mapped your customer journey, and what do you want that to truly be at the end line? So.
Nope, yep, and I agree with you. Customer journey is very, very important as it earns trust with the service provider. When you map the customer journey, then you come up with different personas. For example, on an automotive project that I had a few years ago, a father buying a car is different than a son trying to get service for that same car, and so on and so forth. So the information for a new purchase to an existing customer to a service maintenance there were 3 different backend systems that and multiple APIs. So the beauty of Amazon Connect integrating with Lambda functions is that the Lambda, that single Lambda could call 3 different backend systems and provide a single piece of series of attributes that we'll use in the contact flow. So yes, mapping the customer experience. This is in the end what is expected, right? Support business units or contact center teams are not very concerned much with the technical part of it. They're more with the outcome. Am I going to get the right metrics that I need to monitor? Is my agent going to get the right information on screen in order to provide that first call resolution? Is my customer going to be able to get an agent, the right agent with the right skill set? Those are the outcomes. And then once we define those outcomes, we then work backwards to determine, okay, which technology do we put together and then provide that solution for those use cases.
One thing that I would like to add, and this is from my past experience. So I was working on implementing a chatbot, and the idea, the process flow was that, hey, we need the data from all of these different tools. And okay, so that chatbot was built. It had intent. You could go type it, and the data came out. This was an internal facing chatbot, by the way. Now you got the data, and let's say Pankaj called and said, hey, I'm a senior manager or a director there. I need to get some certain things done. Can you guys tell me how it is done? And instead of talking to Herb or Corey, no, I went to the chatbot and I did it. Yeah, I got all the documentation. I got the SOP, the job aid, and all that. Now the question comes, now what? I'm still stuck there. You gave me the documentation. My manager emailed me as well. Now what do I do? That's where I would follow up on Herb's point that there are APIs. There was ServiceNow API. At the end of the day, anything that I do in an organization, I end up in ServiceNow. Hey, why doesn't this chatbot give me that ability to go into ServiceNow, click on that link, fill that out? And by the way, you know what, you're a solution architect, you have all the data. Can you please integrate the data that I already provided through that chatbot? Or you know my org and you know who these people are and all that. And Herb is going to say, yeah, I know who you are because you're single signed on. I have that API for ServiceNow. I'll integrate. So when you say, I'm going to hire Mr. X in the role of a solution architect in Toronto, it automatically brings up that relevant screen through API on ServiceNow through the chatbot. So that is a parent-child relationship. And that are the use cases organizations should be looking at, not the one-off use cases. And I'm going to have a ServiceNow chatbot and I'm going to have a SAP Fail Class chatbot. And then now you read here and then you go there. And by the time I go from 1 to 2, I'm going to say, I don't need it. I'll just call Corey and ask him how it's done. And then it defeats the purpose. So like I said at the start of it, I'm going to come from the end user or the person who is implementing for business. Why do they need it and how do they find success in it? Having it implemented is not success. Having the adoption of it and scaling is the success.
Yeah. Well said.
That's true. Sometimes customers, they don't know what they don't know, right? And having to list all the technologies and features from Amazon Connect could be overwhelming. Customers want to have all the features enabled, but then it comes to strategy. What exactly is it that you want to do? Because enabling all the features incur costs. So we want to be able to be strategic in what we enable and how we use it. And the beautiful thing is you could test a couple of solutions, a couple of integrations. If it doesn't come up with the outcome that you expect, you can turn it off. You don't use it. You don't get incurred costs. And you can try other services and other solutions. Now, another beautiful thing is that you don't have to start from scratch. We have a series of blogs and articles and code that can be shared that you don't have workshops.
Absolutely.
And yes, that walks you through the configuration. So development time is a lot quicker. So it's I don't know, flexible and agile, and you can have multiple work streams using building different features. You don't have to be sequential when you're building your Connect environment. So one group of team could be building a proof of concept using specific services and APIs, while another are building contact flows and building the customer experience. So it's
And
one thing that I want to ask.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Corey. I'll speak after. Go ahead, please.
Yeah. Okay, so I was just going to say that Herbert just mentioned something that's key is the unknowns, right? The other things customers can go into is only knowing what they know. And that can lead them into I want to replicate what I have. But if you come to me and say, I want to improve and transform my customer experience, why are you coming to replicate exactly what you're doing now? That's where Amazon Connect becomes the transformational piece that I mentioned at the beginning. And I used the analogy earlier before we had started. It's a box of Legos, right? It's building blocks. I can interlock services wherever I want to that can change the way a customer is interacting. I can build out the contact flows the way they are, IVRs as some will refer them to, but I can put things, different modules. I can collect attributes. I can build customer profiles to where that agent almost feels so superpowered. They know what you had last night for dinner because we've given them all the information. Like they've shown up and they're like, oh, Tommy, how are you? Wow, this is great. Yeah, you called us 2 weeks ago. You're probably still looking for this. That also can just be an agent as well. It doesn't, an agentic agent. Sorry, it doesn't have to be an agent. That type of interaction can happen. That's the transformational piece. I would just say it's not just the unknowns, but avoiding knowing the knowns just to try not to stay in that same box that you've already had built. So, Pankaj?
Yeah, thanks. Sorry. One question again, end consumer. Do you guys offer any kind of proof, any kind of like sandbox or something which is free? So an organization today has a lot of options and they want to go and check everything. Instead of engaging with you guys all the way, is there a sandbox environment or something like a trial version where I can ask one of my interns, hey, well, go check it out. This is a use case. This is your work for the next 3 weeks. Do you guys offer anything like that?
Herbert, you want to talk about how easy it is?
Yeah, I was gonna say
Both of them, right?
easy.
Yeah, so documentation is, I know you guys
ahead.
said that, but then how do we get it? Someone gets into it. So that would be the thing, right? So not everyone wants to pay for it. They say, yeah, we'll give it a try. Let that intern or that co-op student play with it, and then we'll find out something, and then hopefully we like it and we call you guys. I'm not talking on behalf of my organization. This is just a question, like a generic question. So I also want to make sure that anything that you hear from me is not from my organization. This is my personal time talking here. So nothing comes from my organization's perspective.
Well, two options come to mind, and you can expand on that, Corey, is workshops that are delivered to customers, complimentary workshops, provide a free environment when they start working, so they can get hands-on for those 2 or 3 days of learning how to build a contact flow, how to integrate a leg spot, how to build a Lambda that will connect into a database and return back a response with attributes. So it'll be flexible enough to you can use modular flows and dynamic attributes. That's one option. The second option would be the creation of an AWS account is very easy, very straightforward. There's a free tier. The first 1 or 2 months, there's a number of minutes that you can use, no cost incurred, and there are other features, other services that can also fall under that free tier for the first couple of months. So
now Herbert mentioned the rate. That's calls. Remember, it's a pay-as-you-go service. If you're not using it, you're not paying, right? That's where it's a pay-as-you-go service. We're not a licensed type service, so that's another thing to make sure that we hit.
Yep.
Yep. And the other thing,
next iteration of that life cycle, right? That now you know what it works for you, and then you say, okay, pay as you go. It's not like a running tap and it just like drains upon, but we only want to use it whenever we want to.
And we have a number of services, budget being one of them. We have cost analyze. We have a number of services that keep you on track. Most of us here are probably budget conscious, right? I'm not Elon Musk. I'm absolutely a budget conscious person. I have my own AWS account even before I joined AWS. And I went in there on my own before I got into this role and tried to build a contact center on my own because I said, well, I'm really looking at this role. Maybe this is something I want to learn. And Connect comes with a number of sample flows, including a main flow, right? So if you think of a contact center, you're thinking of contact in, right? In contact, then contact out. If you wanted to experiment, and I said it is really this easy. I built a contact center for my daughter during one of her class show and tells. I was supposed to come up and show what my job is. It comes with one. You can go in and customize the message. You only need, and there's badges that are out there for this. You only need probably the interim level, the communicator badge, to understand how to basically set it up, how to claim a number, how to make a phone call, and have it go to your contact flow. And I'm not trying to oversimplify it. I'm trying to say how easy it is to set up right, to get familiar. And we encourage experimentation. We are an entire company of builders. So I'm imagining with the folks here on the call, you're also very familiar with AWS. That should ring true for most of you. You probably all have your own type of accounts that way.
I have account too, so I use it.
Yeah, see?
I've not
There
done
you
it for
go.
AWS Connect, but I use it for other automations.
Yeah,
But yeah, and yes,
that's
I
awesome,
do not
Pankaj.
pay for anything. It is
Yeah,
a free tier. So
Excellent,
yeah.
excellent.
Great. Thanks everyone for extensively covering the question. Like it sounds like it's a powerful tool and there are ways to learn how to use it and how to train it. And yeah, Corey, you mentioned budget and so we're talking about using AI to automate the customer service interaction, but what role would that be in reducing operational costs for the clients? How would you
okay.
address this question?
So it's not uncommon. It's not uncommon knowledge to know that the majority of contact center costs are incurred by labor, right? The number of agents that you have. Um, our goal is to try to transform the customer experience and make sure the customer has all the tools necessary to reduce their operational costs, right? Their total cost of ownership. And that comes into play ultimately. So there's different services that you can introduce. And when I start getting into the lower level, that's where Herbert, please take over there. But there's a number of services that we talk to with customers and trying to understand ahead of time. They need to have those key performance indicators, right? We shouldn't go into any type of transformation if you don't know where your starting point is. So if you're not aware what your total cost of ownership is per month by line or by queue, or what you have for your top 5 calls that they're having to come in and where you want to reduce those, you need to start there. You have to have those data points before we can recommend anything, right, to go in. So Herbert, if you had that customer and they came to you and they said, hey, it's, we have we're having 150,000 calls come in every 6 months on this line. We'd like to reduce that by half. What would be a talking point there?
Oh, one of the things would be inbound minutes. It's incurred, right? There's cost on inbound minutes
Yep.
by servicing or offering some of these most common questions, a chatbot, or if before we could redirect callers using a callback or a voicemail. So then we can then provide that information from the callback to the customers with the responses that we're looking for. But the idea is that the direction going with reducing of cost is the chatbot. Agent AIs or agentic are coming more strong, better performance, more accurate, more efficient, and generating these responses with the information that they are getting from the back end. It's more and more the architecture is growing. So now,
Yeah.
in a way that before it was just one model, right? The Lambda will go in and use that model. But now there are more questions, diverse questions, not just about a generic text message. It'll be a code, or it'll be an image, or be a video. So now different models are being used, so different clients are being architected in order to reduce latency when trying to build a response back to the customer. So now chat, it's going to move away from just text. It's going to provide more information, more such as images or video. Show me a showcase of a house that I want to be able to buy with 4 or 3 bedrooms and such area. So models will be able to build a sample video of the house that I want to show. So it's going to get more complex, and agents won't be able to describe that. So the agentic models will be able to do that to produce those sort of outputs. So it's an impressive direction where we're going right now.
All right, and I want to lead into the next question. So if someone decides to go for and start using the Amazon Connect, but one of the first question that someone would be concerned with is there is a lot of data being processed, and how would they ensure compliance and security when using Amazon Connect?
So security is an area that because of how granular it is to protect the data. So it's data protection and data accessibility. Who can access that data? Data stream, data files, call recordings, sentiment analysis, voicemail transcriptions, all that gets generated into a specific repo. It's called an S3 bucket. Now, we need to assign access to those resources. So there has to be a definition of who's going to get access to those resources that are being generated through Amazon Connect or through some of these shared services such as Lambda or DynamoDB, CloudWatch that has logs for those contact flows that may or may not contain sensitive data that should be redacted. So that is something that it's part of the discovery sessions that we have in every project where we define how many data workflows are within a .connect project. Normally it's 4 to 5 data workflows, meaning that data comes from point A to point B, such as Amazon Connect to S3 bucket, CloudWatch logs, contact flow logs that are generated, also Lambdas that are being connected to a backend system. So data is being returned as a response that has to be also secured. So any data that gets generated and stored in an S3 bucket is encrypted at rest. You can have the managed encryption keys that are provided by AWS, or you can generate data encryption keys through our service called Key Management Service, and you manage those keys. Not everybody will have access to those keys. That's where what is called a service identity access management service, where you can create a role with specific permissions or who can access certain resources within the AWS environment. Going one step down into that, once you are access Amazon Connect, we have security profiles. So even though you may have access to Amazon Connect in all the application and configurations such as queue agents, contact flows, writing profiles, we determine who is going to be able to access those resources. Not everybody is a flow developer. Not everybody is a capacity planner within the Amazon Connect environment. So we can drill down and be granular of who can access those resources, which is very important. You don't want anybody just modifying the flow and putting it live, publishing it live.
Yeah.
You want to be able to have an admin to decide those type of path or directions within an Amazon Connect environment. So
and Connect does come with out of the box security profiles, right?
yes, and you can customize it as well. That's where
Absolutely.
the personas and role base are defined. You can have a call center manager, an agent, an admin supervisor, a report developer. You can have a quality management engineer, and so on and so forth. So you can go very deep into allowing a specific person access to specific features within Amazon Connect. Now going to your data. Now data, when it's at rest on S3, it's encrypted basically, right? But when it's in transit, when it goes from point A to point B, it is secured by TLS. So that data is also encrypted. Now, in as long as there is a definition of where the data files are going to be stored in the end, what's the destination, what's the target, that's where the encryption needs to be defined. So there's ways of doing. That's why, as Corey was mentioning, defining the journey, defining the workflow. This is also applicable to data that is being generated.
Yep. It's the same thing with your entire operations of your contact center, right? You do have to understand how and where you want people to operate. We even have tag-based systems, right? Where you can use tag-based hierarchies set up. So that, say, for example, you have a business unit and another business unit, and you don't want them to see the same things, right? But they do aggregate up data. You can do that with multiple different separations, right? Using tags and whatnot. But we have the goal is to give you granular security and granular access so you can determine the experiences that are there. That helps. And remember, we follow the AWS cloud model, right? You own your data, you secure your data, we secure the cloud. That's the overall model approach.
And that is one of the questions that always keeps on coming, like any forum that I go to or any presentation, like how do you secure data? So thanks for having that detailed discussion, because that is the biggest scare of any C-level executive, asking, yeah, I can go and put Corey and Pankaj in a room and they won't do that again, but how do I put this tool? Like there is no one who's responsible, who's the owner of it. Like at the end of the day, this AI agent, does it have a life of its own, or there is still a manager? And that manager is your identity and access management. At the end of the day, it rolls into someone who has that access, and that's how I handle it. You guys talked it in detail, so I won't repeat that, but very well said, both of you, how you put it together.
Well, and by the way, we won't have AWS doesn't have access to your any of the files on your S3 bucket. So once you create a resource under your AWS account, and if God forbids you lose access to it, AWS cannot go in the back end and says, "Oh, let me look at your files."
No,
You don't have access to it
absolutely not.
whatsoever.
I've had that conversation with very large customers who have insisted, no, well, we'll give them permission. That's not how it works. The technical account managers don't have that ability, and that's there for a reason, right? It is your data, and we won't break that line.
There's a question. Can I repeat the question, Nick, or about?
Yeah, we can address that question in the end, because first of all, I actually wanted to remind everybody that please write your questions. We will have the time for them in the end of the session. And again, thank you for answering. And even sometimes people need to be reminded that the data stored on AWS is actually protected, and AWS doesn't have access to it. So leading to the next question, we've been talking before about like mapping the customer and the agent, but like how would you use Amazon Connect to help businesses personalize customer interaction and scale that?
Okay, so I'll use a customer story here that's kind of personal to me. So my mom is she's 71 years old. She's not a fan of calling any contact center, let alone getting someone who's an agent. Okay, so I keep her in mind whenever I'm talking through personas, because you have to look at the users from whatever age group all the way up, right? A lot of folks aren't thinking through that. We kind of remind them you have a lot of different personas that are out there. So when I talk to customers about trying to decide how they would map that journey, we go as far back as who was calling and what's your product, right? So for my mom, she had a recent encounter with a pharmacy. And it wasn't a large chain, but just another pharmacy. And she called them, and it was one of the types of inputs where it was DTMF, right? So it was touch tone, and she couldn't get through to someone. And I asked her what she needed. She's like, I just want to know if my prescription's ready. So I said, would you be comfortable with an agent, a bot saying that? And she said, no, I'm 71 years old. I don't want to hear a robot talk to me. So I think about that, and I talk to customers, and I said that interactions is vital to understand, right? Talk with your customers and understand what they're looking for. If you are a pharmaceutical company and you have say, for example, one of your primary callers in your age group is in their 60s plus, are they going to be comfortable doing that? Are they going to be the kind of people that just want to hit the button to get to zero because they want to talk to an agent? If you can eliminate that or maybe adjust to it, figure out the best way to interact with them. I had another customer recently. We were doing a strategy, and they wanted to talk about some of their business in LATAM, right, the Latin American region. And they talked about how they had a very heavy usage of WhatsApp versus calls. And I didn't understand why. And I asked them, they said, well, because SMS text costs a lot of money. WhatsApp doesn't. And that struck me as that's a very invaluable piece of insight into that customer, not just who the customers want, but what services are they able to use. So that's the type of stuff that I asked them to start off with in the very beginning, before they even get down into the technical aspect with folks like Herbert or with Pankaj of trying to figure out the different services we can use, but understanding that customer journey.
Yeah, one thing that the word I was thinking about when we started the call is tangible versus non-tangible benefit. What is tangible? I know I can save this many hours, I can sell more, I can reduce my AHT, average handling time. No, what is non-tangible? Non-tangible is my client satisfaction. Corey's mom calling and saying, yes, I get Pankaj every time I call because I'd like to talk to him. He knows my condition. He knows my medicine. That is very valuable to the customer, and you cannot say that to any age group. It doesn't matter. Age group doesn't matter. People like people. They don't want to talk to bot all the time. Yes, at certain times you want to just text and get the data, but there are times when I'm upset, I say, I'm very upset, I don't know my medication, I want to talk to someone. That is a non-tangible benefit, but that goes huge. At the end of the day, organization is there to earn money. You earn money when you have customer. You let go of your customer because you're just cutting cost every day does not take you anywhere. So both of the things are very important. Um, well, I've been hearing say again and again, identify use case, identify the process flow. I'm a big proponent of that. I lived through that organization where automation was implemented just for the sake technology, for the sake of technology, without understanding what the use case is, what business. No one went to business. CIO said, "Hey, this is what I thought would work," and business said, "You don't even know what we do." I just wanted to add that,
That
yeah, that's
that
very
hits
personal
close to
to
the
me.
heart.
I
Yeah,
wanted to share
I
something.
spent that 8 years in that as well. And earlier in the first 1 or 2 years, it was difficult for me to understand because RPA, automation, AI, chatbot was very new. I didn't had any experience with that. Neither did any of my colleagues. But today we are way past that. We need to understand the journey of our business before we go and put technology. But technology is very important, and AWS, you guys know better. You
Yeah.
can help. Yeah.
Following the personal experience that Corey was mentioning, I remember I was traveling a lot pre-Amazon, pre-AWS, and I forgot to pay my phone bill. I forgot to set up the automatic payment, and I got a late fee. Got a $25 late fee. So I was gonna call to explain that I was traveling, if they could please override the late fee. It was my first time after 10 years, and I called in after I put my number. The automated IVR told me that I had a penalty, that if I, because it is my first time, if I wanted to confirm to remove that late fee, press one to confirm, or press two to speak with an agent. I pressed one and it confirmed that the late fee was removed, and it took 30 seconds.
Yeah.
The reason I was impressed because every time I called back then, many years ago, I called in a customer service, it was at least 30-minute call. I had to explain myself. The agent had to check my account. It will take several minutes. Let me talk to our manager. Let me escalate, and so on and so forth. So then I realized that systems can anticipate what we need. So because we have the data, all these backend
Yeah.
systems, they have the cases, the issue, the tickets, the account move, the updates, and with AI now, they can anticipate and predict what might be the reason the caller is calling. If the customer has called in the last 3 days, multiple times, most likely it is an issue about a ticket that is open. So the
Yeah.
future of customer service I'm seeing is it's going to be more intelligent. It's going to be more predictable,
Predictable.
automated,
Mm-hmm.
and then personalized. Like Corey was saying, hey Tony, I realized that you have a ticket open about your router that has been delivered. We noticed that has been delayed. Uh, Confirm something, and the customer won't be able to need to speak or explain why they were calling, because the intent will be already predicted by
And,
AI.
and let me just one little thing, Nick, here on this. We've talked a lot about the customer experience, and as a former 911 desk sergeant when I was in the Air Force, being able to answer calls and remembering what it was like to have a screen here, hard line here, crash line here, getting phone calls, and thinking to myself, I really wish I didn't have to spin in my chair. So I think a lot about the agent experience. Well, AI impacts the agent experience, right? We have Amazon Q and Connect, and I know it hasn't been brought up in here, and I'm sure that Herb will touch on Q and Connect far more than me. But Q and Connect is the agent assistant that agents have wanted, right? You can give an agent all sorts of data and then put it up in front of their screen. And what have you done? You've just populated the screen that they still have to read. The agent deserves to have something capture the important pieces and bring it to them. The agent deserves someone to take those initial interactions with the customer. What we want to see is agents who have enough time to, one, train themselves on the trainings they're supposed to do, be aware of the complex issues that we really need agents for, right? If I need to call an airline and change a flight because my flight was canceled due to weather and something happens, that's the complex piece, and I don't want to get charged. I need an agent to help me out with. So what we want to see is that Q and Connect provides the agent access to step-by-step guides, has FAQs, their knowledge bases. It now becomes their partner in that interaction. And when I talk with a customer and I got a chance to do an over the shoulder with an agent, and I watched, and they're scripted, right? Most of your agents, as most of us here know, they have a lot of scripts that they have to go to. And I watched as this agent goes back and forth, copy, paste, question comes in, copy, paste. Q does that. So there's access to FAQs. So now there's access to this, and that agent's following along. When it gets to the agent, they've got the transcript, they've got the understanding of what's going on, and they're better prepared. There's nothing worse, I think, than calling into a customer after they've already recognized who you are, and the customer saying, "Can you verify who you are, please?" But I just did that. You just recognized me. Yeah, but I need to do it again. Or can you give me the order number? But I just gave it to you over the phone. Yeah, I didn't get it. Can you give it to me again? That's a negative customer experience. We don't want the agents to have to face that. So it isn't just about the customer experience. There's the agent experience that we're empowering as well.
Yeah, that brings to other, like, so when I calculate ROI or cost benefit analysis, I'm not looking at just my customers. I'm also looking at my agents, the turnover, the people who are there for 6 months, and we took 3 months to train them, spend
Yes.
$25,000, and then he gets frustrated. I don't want to work with this organization. People yell at me. I don't see the data there. I cannot. There is nothing to like collate the data. And what is that? That is AI and machine learning. So, as a person, like I worked at one time for Aon, world's largest brokerage. A client used to call every 6 months to do some transaction. So now there were people who knew who this person was. He was a C-level for a very large like watchmaker, sitting here, and like very high net worth client. So if that person did not get that Miss X, he would not talk to anyone. Leave the number, have that person call me. If the person was away for a week, everyone was in trouble. Now, guess what? Is the AI is there. We already know as soon as he calls, pops up. They know what he or she go through, and that is your agent being comfortable in that environment. Then you have that long-term relation, the investment that you made. So don't just look at your customers, the incoming, the income. You also need to look at the expense that you have of the turnover of your employees, or that satisfaction, and say, I'm tired of that, and every customer I call, I'm just going to be rude to them or something, and that is a very negative experience. Tools like AI and ML give you that ability to make your customers comfortable, and employees are the face of your organization. The organization Aon is, or any XYZ is not going and talking to people. Pankaj is. So Pankaj is comfortable, client is happy, more money for all of us.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Optimization of agent performance, it's key. Having to have all the information in front of the agents at their fingertips, and following up what Corey was mentioning about Amazon Q being able to listen to real-time transcription of the conversation between the agent and customer and provide certain options on the screen that the agent can tell the customer instead of pausing the call, putting the customer on hold, and then researching with others.
Oh,
What can you do to help the customer? But those answers will be provided on the screen for the agent to provide. So it's going to be a smooth transition, first call resolution, and customer will trust that the next time they call, they will get the right answer very quickly.
Yeah, one thing that I would add from my past experience is a forex trader chatbot where clients were calling and just asking, I have $20,000 US, how much it would be in Indian rupee or Canadian dollar or something. And the forex traders are sitting on the floor just answering that question. A chatbot was implemented for that organization. Clients had their card validated whenever we log into a large bank, and use that chatbot to do the forex trading. Anything under $1,000 could be done by the person itself, and that was done like in today's comparison. We'll call it an agentic AI. You go and you interact and you say, okay, what is the best rate? When would I get the best rate? If it's not today, what is like prediction for the next 7? And do it. Anything going beyond that $1,000 would automatically end up in an agent's queue. Now the agent, while he or she is still working with other client, has everything from Pankaj. He or she is going to see the data, and as soon as Pankaj comes and say, okay, Mr. Bakshi, how much do you want? I have $40,000. I'm your long-term client. Can you guys waive off some fees? Give me a better rate on that. And that is where the value comes. The value comes with that data, and we kept talking about it. And the data is available to the organization. It is just not presented to the people who need to use it. The agent may say, give me 10 minutes, let me research, see how long you've been here, have you had any cancellations or any charges like Herb was saying? But no, he already has it. Yeah, we can do it. We can do better rate for you. Here you go, $200 off. Would you like me to do that transaction right now? Move
Yeah.
on to the
And
next
and
client.
and that's a wonderful point, right? It's the data that matters. You
That
don't
is
need all
it.
my data. I don't need you to know 7 years worth of ordering, but it would be nice if you had the last 6 months. It would be nice if you knew the things that I've returned. That's the type of data when Herb and we talk about integrations, and I don't know if we've really talked about it much, and the public APIs, the access that we have. One of the first things we ask customers when we come in is, well, what data do you have? You may want to transform, you may want to do this, but what data in your backend do you have that we can pull? And is it structured, semi-structured? Is it unstructured data? What has to go in to get this data set up so it can be consumed in the way that you find value, can be provided to the agent or the customer in a way that they provide value? You wouldn't want something that says, can you give me the order history? Let me go back 7 years. You would want something that has, okay, over the last 6 months, so it's a structured query. That's
Yeah.
the importance of the back-end systems that we look for, because as you said, Pankaj, that data is there. It's highly valuable, but it's how it becomes usable that's important.
Yes,
Very well said.
summarization
Very well
is
said.
key. To have the agent AI grab all these pieces of information and provide a summarization next steps, that's key. So the agent doesn't need to read all the previous interactions from within the customer and the agents or previous agents. It'll just say customer has this sentiment. These are the options that you provide to the customer. Let's get it done, and get that customer happy.
Yeah. Happy customer, more money. At the end of the day, that's what we are here for. Yeah.
Thanks everyone. Yeah, you covered two questions because I was gonna lead into the questions about the agents, but you covered it all. So I'd say we don't have that much time left. So let's take a look at one of the questions that you, Herbert, told before. So let's discuss what could be the bottlenecks when implementing contact centers through Amazon Connect, and how would you address them?
Sure. One of the biggest bottlenecks in understanding the legacy systems, how complex those are. Back then, when customers bought a platform, a contact center platform, lack of certain features. Throughout the years, other third parties build their own features and they integrated with those legacy systems. Now you have, after many years and integrating with other third party vendors, now you have multiple party vendors that you have to interact with. Troubleshooting becomes an issue, but there's no definition of root cause, and still the customers get stuck with multiple vendors. With Amazon Connect, you don't have that bottleneck. You have one single support team that will provide the answers to the different questions, not only for Amazon Connect, but also any other shared services that are integrated with Amazon Connect as part of the Amazon Connect solution. The other one that I've recently come in contact is the embracing the learning curve. It is a scary thought. You're used to on-premises. You have 10 servers on-premise, 10 databases. Those are the things that you're managing. You have your telephony trunks, you have John and Peter, your go-to persons, and that's the thing that you're used to. Now, infrastructure is gone. Not gone, but something that you will need to interact with. And telephony infrastructure is also something you will need to interact with. The variety of telecom providers and relationships that Amazon Connect has doesn't you don't have to now get involved in making those decisions. There's reliability on the telephony and the infrastructure that Amazon Connect is on top of. It's something that you will need to be worried about. So, but still, we at ProServe and AWS as an organization needs to take the customers through the journey, through educational opportunities, and to understanding the concerns that they have, moving away from something they're comfortable to something new. And most likely is they're concerned about losing their jobs, but we do have a way to embrace that, to walk the customers through them. Cost is not a bottleneck either, but the idea of moving from CapEx to OpEx to a variable cost, it's something that a lot of big customers are not familiar with. They don't have the system to process that, or normally you will provide a budget for 2026 of 10 million. But now we're saying you pay as you go. But how much am I is it gonna be my cost the first quarter? It all depends how much you use it. We do have pricing. We do have a
We
team
do.
that does
Pricing
cloud
calculators and cloud
economics.
economics.
Yes. And they can help you based on the traffic, based on the usage, and based on the cost that you have in your current platform. They could break down to 5 areas that could help you more or less get familiar with now what cloud architecture is.
Yeah. So for me, two pieces, and I know we only got a couple minutes here. One is knowing the jobs to be done. Knowing, and JTBD is a very common industry standard term. Knowing what your jobs to be done are for your agents, and later after the fact. For example, if you've got an infrastructure on-prem service and you're now moving to the cloud, what are those architects and technologists going to do now? Are you going to reskill them? Are you going to retrain them? If you are, then they need to be, that plan is part of the process. So knowing the jobs to be done across your organization is key. Okay. And the other piece is, and Herbert touched on it, is change. You all remember when you were kids, you didn't want to go to the doctor. Usually your parents were dragging you to the doctor. At least it was for me. Didn't want to go. I'm going to get a shot. That's what it's like sometimes, having to bring your folks on a contact center into where they're going. They don't want to at the beginning because they haven't been made to feel like this change is important. It's vital. They've been there 15, 20 years. Why do I have to do this? I've been through 2 different iterations. Why is this different? We preach the use of change champions. You need to find someone who advocates for your behalf, who understands the system, and then understands how to get them across that finish line. So change is critical. That's one of the bottlenecks we see, is not everyone is bought in when we show up, or not everyone's bought in when the company's decided to move. That's critical now as well. And you have to know that. One of my customers, near and dear to my heart, one of my favorite customers, took this upon themselves. I watched them do it, and they transformed their organization. They kept all their business units in line. They had monthly meetings. Nobody at the very end of the spear was unaware of what was going on. That was huge because it wasn't a shocking change. It was a gradual shift, and they got to see all the magic happening behind the scenes. So change is the other piece that we see for a bottleneck that we really work hard. I do specifically at trying to get across that line.
Corey, what I would say is like the consumer or someone who's implementing that, the change management and the adoption of the technology,
Yeah.
the ramping up of it. So you cannot just implement and forget about it. No one's
No.
using it. Maybe you'll have 100 users out of 120 at day one, but are they going to 90 or are they going to 110? Or are you at least maintaining 100? That is adoption. And maybe there is an iteration of it where you go back and retrain the users or remind them these tools are there or get feedback from them. So not every project is going to go really well up front, but that feedback mechanism should be there. You go back and you re-implement some of the configurations or the tools or part of the tools in there. That's how I see it.
Yes. No, absolutely. And having a plan for after your after support. Say, for example, you do hire ProServe, where Herbert and I work, or one of our partners like Pronix, and you bring in a partner and everything has worked, as it's gotten through and you're done. And it's now, we've gotten all our last agents on. Fantastic. What's day 2 look like for you?
Yes.
Do you have something? I wrote a blog post on it. It's out there on our AWS blog post about setting up a center of excellence. Miss Naomi Hall, who's one of my mentors, she spoke about this in October of 2022 or November 2022 at reInvent, about the need to set up a center of excellence, understanding that this is an opportunity to now get input from your agents at the very bottom level, all the way up to the product owner who owns contact centers, because you don't have silos anymore. It's an ecosystem. So you should have that plan to be prepared for that day 2.
Yeah, the operating model, right?
Yes.
You cannot just
100%.
build it, hand it
Right.
over, and forget about because I have another project
No.
and that is very urgent and I have my executives looking at it. You need to hand it over clean and then have
Absolutely.
the engagement to go back. And that is your operating model. Who's going to take over from me? How they're going to satisfy? How going to support my customer? What if it
Yeah.
goes down? When it is not optimal? Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
Well said.
Thanks, everyone. Like, we're at the very end of the session, and I just wanted to end it with like the big question, but I would really beg you to try to be short with it. So what's next? What to expect with this tool, with these kind of services? Like what to expect in the near future?
For me, I know this may seem kind of cheesy because it's Amazon, but go to reInvent and watch it, or watch it online. That's where I'm not kidding. reInvent is the place to go. We're releasing, and it would not surprise me if between now and the time this was over, another SA or a product owner from Connect released something on LinkedIn that said, "Hey, here's the new feature," because it happens all the time. It is iterative. If you look at it, we are now we're a disruptor in this industry. We're a leader in this industry, and we've taken that chain upwards. So reInvent's going to be huge. I'm sure something amazing is going to come out of it. Herbert, thoughts?
That's true. That's true. It's so fast. Features that you believe that you may have requested appears a few months down the line, and because we see value, and or
Yep.
the product and the developer see value, and customers speak up and we listen. That's one of the key things that we earn trust on. We listen to our customers and on what they need and what they want and how they want to use it. Go reInvent. That's also
Absolutely.
you'll see the latest and greatest. That
Yep.
that I can confirm.
And Pankaj, what would you expect? What would you want to see
I
in the
will
future?
go and I'll check that out as an end consumer and see what is there. Because
There you go.
I am a big proponent of reusing technology. I'm not going to go and build things from scratch. So if Corey has built something or one of their partners has done that, I'll rather look at that, look at how that is implemented,
Yeah.
and learn
Proven
from it
patterns.
before I go and
Mhm.
implement it for my organization or anyone else.
Okay, thanks everyone. That was an intense session with a lot of topics covered and a lot of topics not covered. Yeah, and yeah. So, but most importantly, we saw today that it's a very very powerful tool. Amazon Connect is a very powerful tool, and there are ways to learn it. There are approaches that you can take, and there are case studies that you can use, and the experience that people can help you to implement it all, because it is worth it. It is worth it. And yeah, there are people from AWS can help you with that. There are definitely people at Pronix who can help you with that. So if anybody has any questions about anything that we discussed today, definitely you should reach out to the people at Pronix, and reach out to the speakers to discuss some of the questions. But for now, yeah, I invite everyone to stay connected and subscribe, because there's definitely going to be more sessions on Amazon Connect and AWS in general happening on this channel. I want to say thank you so much, all three of you, for your expertise, for your comments, for this discussion, and yeah, hope to see you on our future sessions.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Great session. Really appreciate it.
Thanks. Take